Lyra Hayes stood at the edge of the dropship ramp. The wind was sharp, cold. The sky above was red and gray, full of storm clouds. The world below was dead, silent and broken. Nothing moved, no birds, no animals, no sound, just the wind. Quick, scan. Light recon. Back in 6 hours, her commander had said. She nodded. She trusted him. She had served under him for 5 years. He had led her through 3 wars. He had pulled her from fire once. She thought he was like family. The ramp lowered. She stepped onto the cracked black ground. Her boots sank slightly into the dust. A strange smell filled the air, something between rust and burnt oil. Her helmet scanned the area. No life signs. No heat signals. She turned to wave at the ship, but the ship was rising, fast. "Wait, what?" she said, voice tight. She tried her comms. "Command, this is Hayes. I just touched down. Why are you lifting off?" No reply. She tried again. "Command, respond. I repeat, I just—" The signal cut. Static. The ship vanished into the clouds. She stood there alone, staring up at the sky, heart racing. The wind picked up, throwing dust around her legs. "This isn't right," she whispered. Her training kicked in. She scanned again. Still no life signs, still no heat. She checked her suit systems. Food for 48 hours, water for 24, no heavy weapons, just a sidearm and a survival blade. "This was supposed to be safe," she muttered. She opened her emergency channel. "This is Sergeant Lyra Hayes, Unit 9. I have been left behind on planet Echo 7. Please respond." Still nothing. The comms were dead, and deep inside her chest, something colder than fear started to grow. This wasn't a mistake, this was a setup. She found shelter inside a broken stone structure half a mile away. The walls were black, melted, by fire or something worse. She placed a motion scanner at the door, then sat inside and opened her rations. She barely ate. Her mind kept going back to the last look on her commander's face. He didn't seem worried. He wasn't looking at her at all. He was already giving orders to lift. She closed her eyes. Memories of past missions came flooding back, a time when her squad had been surrounded. He stayed behind and held the line. Time when she was shot. He carried her 2 miles to safety. That man wouldn't leave her behind, unless he changed or unless someone made him. That night, a storm rolled in. Lightning struck the hills in the distance. The wind howled. The ground trembled slightly like something massive moved beneath it. Lyra stayed awake. She counted her ammo. Bullets, 1 blade, a broken world, and silence. Then the silence broke, a soft growl. She froze. The scanner lit up. Movement, 4 life forms, approaching. Fast. She jumped up and pulled her sidearm. The sensor blinked red. They were fast. Too fast. Her breath quickened. She pressed against the wall, aiming at the doorway. Then they came. Gray, armored beasts. Not like any alien she'd seen. Their eyes glowed red. They didn't speak. They didn't aim. They charged. Lyra fired. 2 shots. 2 hits, but they kept coming. She rolled to the side and stabbed one in the leg. It screamed, a sound like metal tearing. She grabbed its weapon and kicked it back into the others. She ran. The ground outside was slick with storm mud. She ran through the rain. Her helmet cracked on one side. Blaster fire lit up behind her. She jumped into a ditch and slid down into darkness. Breathing hard, she listened. The creatures didn't follow. Not yet. She crawled into a small cave. Inside was dark. But she was alive. Her side burned from a cut. Blood mixed with rain on her armor. She lay there, staring up at the rock ceiling. She laughed, just a little. Because this was insane. A recon mission. No hostiles, no threats. She was betrayed, and now, someone wanted her dead. The next morning, she explored deeper into the cave. That's when she found it. A symbol carved deep into the wall. Not old, fresh, a triangle inside a circle. Her unit's mark, below it burned into stone by plasma, was something worse. A name. Hayes, expired. She stepped back, hands shaking. It was her commander's code. She knew it. Everyone in the unit knew that he had marked her as dead before she was even dead. That night, she didn't sleep. She built traps. She sharpened her blade. She painted mud across her armor to hide in shadows, and she whispered to herself, "I'm not dead yet." The next day, the same beasts returned, but this time she was ready. The first one walked into a tripwire. A blade shot out and went straight through its chest. The second one was caught in a snare. She leapt from above and cut its throat. The other, two ran. They didn't scream this time. They knew something was hunting them, something human. She took one of their rifles. It was heavy and strange but powerful. She also found something else, a comm chip inside the beast's armor. It glowed blue, still active. She pressed it to her wrist unit. It played a short message. Confirmed. Drop the package. Clear the zone. No survivors. Commander Reese authorized. Priority. Keep it clean. She stared at the ground. Her name was the package. Her death was an order. For hours she sat there, rain falling, wind screaming through the trees. She could have cried, but she didn't. She was done being weak. If they wanted her gone, they should have made sure. She stood up. She grabbed the alien rifle and she whispered to herself, "You think I'm dead?" She looked to the sky. "Then I'll come back a ghost." Far away, in the command ship orbiting the planet, Commander Reese looked out the window. The planet was quiet. His face showed no emotion. A soldier stepped beside him. "Sir, her beacon is no longer active. She's presumed dead." Reese nodded. "Good," he said. "Make sure there's no trace." "Yes, sir." The soldier walked away. Reese stared at the planet one more time. She was strong, he said to himself, but she was starting to ask questions. He turned and left the room. But below, in the darkness of the jungle, Lyra walked barefoot. Now, quieter than wind, eyes glowing with rage, she whispered the name again. Not to cry, not to mourn, to mark it. Reese. She carved it into a tree with her blade, not for art, for memory. He wanted her dead, but he forgot one thing. She was trained by him. She knew every trick, every signal, every weakness, and now she would use it. She picked up her pace. The jungle didn't scare her anymore. She was the danger now. Lyra moved through the jungle like a shadow. Every step was careful, every breath was quiet. The jungle was alive now, but not in a peaceful way. It was full of danger. Her eyes scanned the dark green trees. Strange animals watched her from the branches. Bright eyes, sharp teeth, but they didn't attack. Even they knew something deadlier was walking here now. She found a tall tree and climbed up. From the top, she saw them. A patrol, 5 of them, walking in a half circle. Big, armored, same red glow eyes, not beasts, not wild, hunters. They were looking for her, and they were close. Lyra didn't panic. She breathed slow, watched their steps. They were organized but slow, loud, confident, too confident. She waited. The last one in the group moved near the tree. She dropped like a ghost. Her blade slid through his neck. He gasped, then fell. No scream. The others didn't see. She dragged his body into the bushes. 4 left. Next, she circled wide. She picked up a small rock and threw it to the side. One of them turned. She used that second to strike. A kick to the leg, a blade to the chest. 2 down. The other 3 heard the noise. They turned and shouted in their language. She didn't understand the words, but she understood fear. They fired blindly into the trees. Lasers lit the jungle, but Lyra was already behind them. She threw a sharp piece of metal into one's eye. He dropped. Screaming, she used his falling body as a shield to charge forward. The last two aimed. She shot one in the head with his partner's rifle. The final one dropped his weapon, hands up. He shook. Lyra walked toward him, slow, covered in blood and mud. She raised her blade. He dropped to his knees. I talk, he said in broken human language. She grabbed him by the neck and slammed him against a tree. Why are you hunting me? She asked. The alien shook. No choice. Orders from above. They pay. They say she must not return. Who gave the order? She growled. He hesitated. She pressed the blade deeper into his throat. Who? Reese. Human Reese. Your leader. She let him drop. He fell to the dirt, gasping. Reese, her commander. She already knew, but hearing it from the enemy made it real. She stared at the alien. You're letting humans pay you to kill their own kind? Nodded, scared. Not all. Only some. Only when? They don't want questions. She stepped back. Go, run. Tell your people what you saw. He looked at her, confused. You let me live? No, she said coldly. I send you. He ran, not looking back. Later, as she cleaned her wounds by a small stream, Lyra felt something deep in her chest. Not fear, not pain. Something worse. She had been used, thrown away, marked to die, and she was supposed to vanish like dust. But now, a message was spreading. A human had survived, a human was hunting, and this human did not forgive. She found one of their radios. She listened in, crackling voices. Panic. Squad Delta is gone. Found 4 bodies. One was missing his face. Lyra smiled. The jungle was hers now, and they were guests in her nightmare. As night came, she returned to the spot where she killed the first hunter. She took their armor and weapons, modified them, repainted with mud and ash. She looked like a ghost now, not human, not alien, something in between. The next day, she left a gift. 12 dead aliens, stacked in a circle. Weapons broken, eyes open, each body marked with one word burned into the chestplate, alive. It was a warning. In the enemy's base, alarms rang. The alien commander, a tall, dark-skinned warrior with 4 eyes, slammed his hand on the table. Who is this human? How does she do this? No one answered. She was alone. He shouted. No armor, no army, one young soldier said. Maybe she's not alone now. The room went quiet. They sent drones. They found nothing. They sent fire squads. They vanished. Lyra watched them from trees, from shadows. They burned half the jungle, but they never burned her. One night she found a damaged alien device. She used it to hack into their local data system. She watched secret recordings, and there he was, Reese, her old commander, standing in front of a tall alien leader. He handed them a map, her landing zone. This one is dangerous, Reese said. She asks too many questions. Enter quietly. Lyra's fingers curled into fists, her teeth clenched. So it was all true. He wasn't just a coward. He was a traitor. She copied the file into her wrist pad. That was all the proof she needed. Now she had a goal, not just survival, not just revenge, justice. And she knew exactly where Reese was hiding. Before she left, she stared into the night sky. A burning fire lit her eyes. She whispered, "You left me here, Commander." She looked at the jungle behind her, now filled with dead enemies. But I didn't die. She grabbed her new gear, her stolen rifle, her armor, her rage, and she walked toward the alien command base, not quietly this time. Not as prey, but as a storm. Far away, Reese sat at a table inside the command ship, drinking a clear liquid. He smiled. "She's gone by now," he said. "Let her be," one officer said. "The body will never be found." Reese nodded. Dead soldiers don't ask questions. But then the lights flickered. A warning appeared on screen. Unknown signal detected, moving fast, human biosign. Reese stood up slowly, his smile faded. No, it couldn't be, could it? Meanwhile, inside the alien jungle, one soldier ran into the command base, his face pale. "Sir, we found something." "What?" the commander growled. The soldier dropped a bag. Inside was the helmet of one of their top scouts, crushed, burned, and inside it was a small note, written in human language. Still breathing, still hunting. The jungle behind her was now quiet. Too quiet. No more patrols. No more hunters. They weren't brave enough anymore. Lyra had made her name into something dark, something whispered in fear. But she didn't care about fear. She wanted truth. She wanted Reese. Her body hurt. Her arm was burned. Her leg still limped. Her left shoulder had taken a direct hit 2 nights ago, but she didn't stop. Pain wasn't a reason to quit. It was proof she was still alive. She climbed a ridge overlooking the alien base. From this point she could see their towers, their cannons, their guards, and their weakness. Too much tech, too little instinct. They didn't watch the trees anymore. They expected safety. She grinned. Inside her pouch were 3 tools, the cracked comm chip that proved she was targeted, the stolen map showing Reese's handover, and a fresh alien security badge ripped from the neck of a patrol leader. All she needed now was visual proof. That night, she moved like smoke. She slid under fences. She crawled through tunnels. She used the mud and leaves to block heat scans. Her fingers brushed against walls. Her eyes memorized every hallway, and her heart stayed cold. Finally, she reached the control center. Inside were 2 alien officers and 3 humans. She knew one of them, Lieutenant Bren. He used to share meals with her. He once patched her arm after a battle. And now, he was laughing with aliens while soldiers like her were left behind to die. She stayed in the shadows. She pressed the record function on her wrist pad. They spoke in low tones. "Reese still thinks she's gone," said one. "Good," Bren replied. She was asking questions about Project Wipeout. If she had gotten the full file. "She didn't," the alien said. "You deleted it in time," Bren smiled. "Still, it's better this way. Dead soldiers don't need justice." They laughed again. Lyra's fingers curled, her teeth clenched, but she didn't move. Not yet. She needed more. She followed the group through a locked door. Her stolen badge let her pass silently behind, down 2 floors, into a data vault. There it was. The truth, files, videos, orders, all of it. Her own name flashed across one screen. Sergeant Lyra Hayes, status, marked for removal. Reason, sensitive knowledge. Level red. She tapped the data transfer button on her pad. Her eyes burned. They had built a fake story that she'd died during equipment failure. Her death was signed by Reese himself. Then she found the real file. Project Wipeout. She opened it and her breath caught. They hadn't just betrayed her. They had betrayed everyone. Project Wipeout was a joint human-alien operation designed to clear planets quietly, kill witnesses, remove locals, make the planet look like it was always empty. All to sell land, to make profit, to rewrite history. And when Lyra started asking questions, when she noticed the missing colonies, the strange orders, the false signals, they marked her as disposable. She finished the download. Alarms began to ring. She had been spotted, but she didn't run. Not yet. She walked straight into the recording room. A camera turned on. She stood in front of it, blood on her armor, fire in her eyes. She looked into the lens, and she spoke. "My name is Sergeant Lyra Hayes. I was left behind on Echo 7, not by mistake, but by command. Project Wipeout is real, and I have proof. To every soldier who was told to stay silent, to every family who lost someone in the field with no answers, I'm still breathing, and I'm coming for the man who signed my death. Commander Reese. She sent the recording to Earth, to the colonies, to anyone still listening. The signal burst through layers of static. The file ripped through blocked channels. People would see it, even if she died right after. But she didn't plan on dying. As guards rushed in, she fired 2 shots and threw smoke bombs. She moved through the chaos like lightning. Bullets missed her. She tackled one alien, broke another's arm. She was rage wrapped in skin. By the time she reached the exit, 15 guards were on the floor. Only one woman ran through the flames, Lyra. Outside, explosions rocked the jungle. They were trying to seal the vault, trying to stop the truth from escaping, but it was too late. The file had already gone out, and the ghost they left to die, she wasn't just alive now. She was famous. In a high-security orbit station, Reese watched the transmission replay on screen. His face turned pale. That's impossible. The officer beside him whispered, "She has the full file." Reese turned, eyes cold. "Call the kill team. All of them. But now." But even as he spoke, even as elite forces were being armed, the galaxy was already changing. Messages were spreading. Soldiers were asking questions. Families were screaming for answers. And Lyra, she had one goal left. Not escape, not survival, not hiding, but dragging him back. Not for revenge, not for pain, but for the truth. For every name wiped out, for every voice silenced, for every soldier left behind like she had been, and she wasn't alone anymore. Messages were reaching other units, others like her, forgotten, betrayed, angry. Now they had a leader, now they had proof, now they had a name, Reese and Lyra. She walked into the night, burned, bleeding, but unshaken, because she had what they feared most, not power, not weapons, but the truth, and the will to fight for it. Reese stood inside the command ship's war room. His hands were shaking, but he hid it well. She sent the file. One officer whispered. Reese stared at the frozen screen. Lyra's face, blood on her cheek, fire in her eyes. "She's not just alive," Reese muttered. "She's making noise." He turned to the guards. "Send them." "Sir?" He didn't blink. "Send Spectre Squad. Every single one." Spectre Squad was Earth's secret weapon. 7 elite killers. No names, no emotions, no mercy. Each one had taken down entire rebel bases alone. Now they had one target, Lyra Hayes. They were dropped silently in the jungle. Nightfall. No lights. No words. Just helmets, guns, and orders. Find her, kill her, bring the body. The squad moved fast, but the jungle had changed. It was quiet. Too quiet. Their leader, Unit 1, raised a fist. Everyone froze. Their scanners showed movement, but nothing appeared. Then, a soft click, a tripwire. Unit 5 took a step back. Too late. Boom! The ground exploded beneath him. Smoke, fire, silence. Unit 5 is gone. Someone said. "Trap," said another. "Keep moving," the leader growled. They didn't know this jungle, but Lyra did. She had spent weeks here, hunted here, fought here. Now, she owned it. Unit 3 broke off from the group, following a trail of footprints. He moved carefully. He saw movement. He aimed. Nothing. A flash. Then, hands around his neck, a knife, a whisper, 2 down. Then silence. Unit 3's signal went dark. Unit 1 cursed under his breath. "She's using fear," he said. "Stay focused." They split into pairs. Bad idea. Lyra watched them from the trees, not like prey, like a hawk. She knew their armor, their tactics, their drills. She was trained by the same system. But what they didn't have, what they couldn't learn in a lab, survival, rage. Unit 6 moved through the vines. Suddenly, his boot caught. He fell. Razor thorns tore through his visor. Screams echoed. By the time Unit 2 reached him, Only bones were left, and a message carved into the dirt. Still here. Unit 2 ran, but he didn't get far. Lyra was waiting in the shadows. She stepped forward. Blood-covered. Calm. Unit 2 raised his weapon. She didn't move. She stared. He hesitated. Then, boom. His own weapon exploded. She had rewired the safety earlier. While passing through his zone, he never saw it coming. Unit 1 and 4 were the last. They stood back to back now. "I don't see her," 4 said. "She sees us," Unit 1 replied. "I think she's not human." "Wrong," said a voice behind them. They turned, too slow. Lyra dropped from above. She slammed Unit 4 into a tree, knocking him out, then turned to Unit 1. Their leader. He fired. She dodged. A second shot grazed her side. She rolled, picked up. A branch snapped it in half. He charged. She blocked with her arm, screamed in pain but didn't fall. Then, she stabbed the branch into his helmet's air tube. He choked, fell to his knees. She stood over him. "You were sent to kill me." He gasped. "Just orders." "Whose orders?" "Reese." "Of course." She walked away, letting him live, just barely. That night, the alien jungle glowed red. Fires burned, bodies lay hidden in the dark. Spectre Squad, defeated. Lyra, still breathing. Reese watched the live feed as each signal died. His eyes grew wide. "No," he whispered. "Not even Spectre Squad." "What do you want, Lyra?" he growled to the screen. "What do you want from me?" But he already knew. She wasn't hiding anymore. She wanted the truth exposed, she wanted justice, and she was coming for him. Across the galaxy, her message had spread. Rebels started chanting her name. Families of missing soldiers wore her face on patches, and one by one, soldiers began to whisper, "She's not dead." She knows. She's fighting for us now. Reese ordered another lockdown, another cover-up, another lie. But every time he tried to bury the truth, Lyra dug it back up. Later, in a cold, silent cave, Lyra stitched her wounds. Her hands shook. Her back hurt, but her eyes stayed sharp. She placed 6 tags beside her, dog tags from Spectre Squad, and a 7th, still in her hand. She wasn't proud of killing, but she wasn't sorry either. They made her this way. They turned her into something they couldn't stop now. They would feel what she felt, alone, abandoned, hunted, and afraid. Soon, she whispered. Soon she would reach him, Commander Reese. He left her to die. Now she would bring him back, alive, to face every truth he buried. The wind howled across Outpost 13. Snow whipped through the air like knives, but inside the bunker, all anyone could talk about was one name. Lyra Hayes. The soldier they said was dead. The one who walked through hell. The one who made an elite kill squad vanish. Her story had spread, fast, not through media, not through officials, but through whispers, messages, secret recordings passed hand to hand. At first people laughed. A single woman taking on Spectre Squad. Impossible. But then came the footage. Grainy. Real. Dog tags laid out like trophies. Smoke rising behind her. Blood dripping down her cheek. And that voice, calm, broken but unshaken. "I'm still breathing. And I haven't forgotten what you did." In the deepest prison colonies, inmates passed her message between cells. In rebel camps, her name became code for freedom. And in the darkest corners of command halls, officers stared at red screens in fear. Because Lyra wasn't just surviving, she was leading something. A movement had started. Not with guns, but with truth. Lyra didn't want fame. She didn't ask for it. But now that it was here, she would use it. In a stolen shuttle, she flew across the edge of the sector. With her were 5 others, all soldiers, all marked for death, all survivors like her. They didn't speak much, but their eyes said enough. They had all been betrayed. They had nothing left, except her. At a dark station known as the Rift, Lyra and her crew stopped for supplies. The station was full of mercenaries, smugglers, and spies. Not a safe place, but exactly where she needed to be. She walked into a bar lit with blue flames and smoke. The music stopped, all eyes turned. Someone whispered, "Is that her?" Another, "The ghost?" A third, "She's real." A man stepped forward, big, scar across his jaw. "You're Lyra Hayes?" he asked. She didn't answer, just looked him in the eyes. "You killed Spectre Squad?" Still no answer. He stared. A moment longer, then he dropped to one knee and said, "We've been waiting for someone like you." Others stood up. Quiet at first, then fists tapped hearts, a salute of the forgotten, a symbol of those who had been used, lied to, or thrown away. One whispered, "Project Wipeout hit my colony too." Another, "My sister asked questions and vanished the next day." A third, "I was told to shoot innocents. I refused. They locked me away." Lyra raised her voice, just loud enough to be heard. "I didn't start this, but I won't stop. Reese thinks this galaxy belongs to him, but it belongs to us. The broken, the hunted, the ones they tried to erase. If they're scared of my name, good. Because this time, they should be." The room stayed silent. Then someone banged a glass on the table, another stomped his boot. Then the chant began. Low at first. Lyra. 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 Her name was no longer a whisper, it was a war cry. Back on the central command ship, Reese watched the footage. His hands were tight fists. "She's forming an army," an officer said. "No," Reese snapped. "She's forming a legend." He couldn't let that happen. He needed her crushed, destroyed, forgotten. "Leak her location," he ordered. "But sir, leak it. Put a bounty on her head. Say she turned rogue. Say she attacked a peace vessel. Make her a monster." The message was sent out across channels. Fake crimes, twisted images, made-up witnesses. They painted her as a terrorist. But it didn't work. People didn't believe it. Too many had seen her message. Too many knew the truth. The more they tried to break her name, the stronger it became. One by one, deserters joined her. Ex-soldiers, hackers, civilians with nothing left to lose. She didn't promise safety. She didn't promise victory. She promised truth. And that was enough. In one night, Lyra's network hit 3 hidden storage depots run by Reese's allies. They took weapons, files, intel. Every attack ended the same way. No loss of civilian life, no dead guards, just a symbol painted on the walls in red. An open eye, watching, waiting, never closing again. Reese paced his office. "She's becoming a myth." An advisor leaned in. "You taught her everything. You trained her to survive. And now she's using all of it against you." Reese didn't sleep that night. He couldn't. Meanwhile, in a hidden mountain base, Lyra stared at a screen, a map of Reese's current location. She tapped the console. "It's time," she said. One of her crew asked, "You sure you're ready?" She didn't answer. She just looked down at the scar across her wrist, the one from the day she was left to die, and whispered, "Ready enough." The war wasn't coming. It had already begun. Lyra didn't carry rank. She didn't wear medals. She wore dirt, blood, and the weight of every name they tried to erase. But now, she had voices behind her, eyes watching her, hearts beating for her. She wasn't just the girl who survived. She was the spark, the one they left behind, and the one who would return with fire. Commander Reese stood inside Blackhold, Earth's most secure underground base, walls of thick steel, dozens of guards. No way in, no way out. He poured himself a drink. "She's coming," he whispered. The officer beside him gave a cold laugh. "Let her try. This place is a tomb for people like her." Reese didn't smile. He just stared at the dark screen on the wall. A single word blinked. Tracking. And then, connection lost. Far below, hidden in shadows, Lyra watched the blinking red cameras of Black Hole from a sewer tunnel. Her voice was calm. 3 minutes to breach. Move quiet. Beside her were 4 of her crew. Each one had lost something because of Reese. Now they were ready to take it back. The plan was simple. Not because Black Hole was easy, but because Lyra didn't believe in overcomplicating revenge. Step 1. Silence the walls. Her hacker, Reeve, sent a code spike into the mainframe. Lights across the facility flickered, cameras blinked once, then died. Guards didn't even notice. By the time they did, it was already too late. Step 2. Make them panic. In Sector C, smoke began pouring out of the air vents. Not fire, just fog. Thick and choking, guards grabbed rifles and masks. Alarm sirens blared. Footsteps echoed, doors slammed shut, and while everyone rushed to the east sector, Lyra entered from the west. She moved like a ghost through the lower halls. Every camera was off, every guard already gone. Only the silent hum of generators filled the air. In the control center, Reese stared at dead screens. No visuals? He snapped. No motion sensors. No life signs. It's like she's not even here. Reese clenched his jaw. She is here. In the hallway, a lone guard turned the corner. He stopped. A shadow moved. He lifted his gun. Too slow. Lyra grabbed his arm, twisted it, and slammed him. Into the wall. He dropped, unconscious. She took his keycard. Another step closer. In the prisoner wing, her crew found what they came for. Files, evidence, proof of everything Reese had done. Black sites, illegal orders, vanished squads, all buried in the system, until now. But Lyra wasn't finished. She wanted Reese himself. She climbed to level 0, the heart of the base. 2 guards waited at the blast doors. They raised weapons. She didn't flinch. "I'm not your enemy," she said. They hesitated. "She's lying," one muttered. "Open your eyes," she said. "He left you too, just like he left me." The guards looked at each other. The older one dropped his rifle. "I lost a brother in Operation Silent Fire. They said it was enemy fire, but now..." He opened the door. Inside, Reese stood alone, facing her. The lights flickered red. The door slammed. "Shut behind her, you came," he said. She didn't reply. "You won't shoot me," he said. "You need answers." "You're right," she said softly. Then she raised her gun and fired, not at him, but at the wall. Behind that wall, a hidden room, and inside, screens, hard drives, secret records, surveillance, everything he had tried to hide. The files burst into flame. Reese shouted, running to stop it. Lyra walked forward. "I don't want revenge," she said. "I want truth, and you buried it." "You think this will change anything?" he yelled. She stepped closer. "I already did." Suddenly, the wall beside them cracked. Then exploded. Reeve's final virus had triggered the cooling systems. Water gushed in, lights sparked, sirens screamed, and now the walls bled. With fire, steam, and smoke, guards ran. Systems failed. The fortress was collapsing. Reese turned, panicking. Lyra grabbed his wrist. "You're not dying here," she said. "I'm bringing you back. For everyone you left behind." She dragged him through the chaos. He kicked and cursed, but she didn't stop. They passed through fire, falling steel, broken alarms. Her team cleared the way. Bullets flew. Explosions shook the ground. But Lyra didn't fall. Outside, their ship waited. They shoved Reese into the cell aboard. He stared at her, eyes full of rage and fear. "Now what?" he spat. "Now," she said, "we show them what you did." She didn't kill him. That was too easy. She wanted the galaxy to see him, hear him confess. Watch the lie fall apart. Later on a secure channel, Lyra uploaded the files. Names, dates, secrets. proof of every betrayal. Her message played across thousands of ships, cities, and colonies. This is Commander Reese. This is what he did to us, what they tried to bury. I survived, but many didn't. I speak for the forgotten, the broken, the betrayed. Never again. The courtroom was built like a fortress, high white walls, glass ceiling, guards in every corner, cameras pointed from every angle, but no one came for justice. They came for a show. Commander Reese sat in the center cage, wrists locked, face pale, still. In his burned uniform from Blackhold, across from him, Lyra Hayes, alive, unshaken, the woman they abandoned, the woman now holding the galaxy's attention. The council court was never meant for people like her. She wasn't rich. She wasn't powerful. She had no army. But somehow, everyone in the room waited for her to speak. The lead councilman, Chancellor Voss, slammed a hammer on the bench. This trial is to decide the guilt of Commander Reese under charges of war, crimes, abuse of command, and execution of black operations without oversight. He paused. Do you have anything to say, Lyra Hayes? Lyra stepped forward. The room went still. Everyone expected a long speech. Everyone expected anger. But she said only one sentence. One calm, sharp sentence that froze the galaxy. Play the audio from Operation Silence. A wave of murmurs spread. Reese's face drained of color. Chancellor Voss raised an eyebrow. You have such a file? Lyra nodded. Uncut. Unedited. Recovered from Reese's own server inside Blackhold. She handed over a small drive. Voss inserted it. The speakers clicked, and then the courtroom filled with truth. Reese's voice echoed through the chamber. Leave her. She won't survive the drop. Send the squad. Burn the site. No survivors. If the girl crawls out, we'll say she went rogue. One by one, the hidden orders played, cold, ruthless, real. The court guards shifted uncomfortably. The audience gasped. Even the council members exchanged nervous glances. Reese jumped to his feet. That audio is fake. Voss raised his hand. Sit down, Commander. Another voice played, one from an officer long thought dead. I watched Reese send them in. It was a kill mission, not a recon. I begged him to call it off. He threatened my family. Silence fell again, not out of shock this time, but shame. Chancellor, Voss turned toward Reese. You trained this soldier. You sent her to die. And now she brought you back alive. That's mercy. Something you clearly don't understand. The council whispered among themselves. After minutes of tense silence, Voss stood. This court finds Commander Reese guilty. Reese screamed. You need me. I protected Earth. I built the shadows. But no one listened. Guards dragged him away. He kicked, shouted, begged. But the people didn't hear him anymore. They heard her. Lyra stood at the edge of the courtroom. Reporters surrounded her. Microphones, lights, cameras. Lyra, what's next? Will you return to the military? Are you forming a new force? She didn't answer. She looked to the crowd, saw familiar faces, wounded soldiers, orphans, civilians whose lives were torn by lies. And she said, I'm not here to build power. I'm here to remind you, don't forget who we left behind. That one line. It broke through screens, cut through noise, and planted something deeper than fear. It planted awareness. Across the stars, children painted her face on walls. Young officers quoted her during training. Entire squads broke away from shadow units. Lyra didn't want fame. She wanted change, and it was beginning. But not everyone was pleased. In a dark room far beyond the court planet, 3 figures watched the trial replay. Hoods covered their faces. Their eyes were cold. She's disrupting everything, one said. The people are listening, said another. She turned a simple revenge story into a movement, said the third. On the table in front of them, a red file. Project Dawnfire. Status, awakening. One whispered, if she wants truth. Let's show her how deep the lie goes. Back on her ship, Lyra felt a chill she couldn't explain. Her crewmate Reeve turned to her. There's movement on the outer rim, something's coming. Lyra nodded. Let them come. We're done. Hiding. She walked to the window, watched the stars blink, and whispered to herself, let the truth burn through everything. The war was over. Commander Reese was locked away. His lies were exposed. The files were public. The system shook. But Lyra Hayes didn't feel peace, not yet. She stood on a mountain ridge overlooking the broken ruins of Site Zero, the place where they left her to die. The ground still held burn marks. Metal pieces from old dropships were half buried in the sand. Her fingers touched a rusted plate. She read the faded letters. Unit 47. Never return. She smiled bitterly, but she had returned, and she wasn't alone. Behind her, her team waited by the ship. Reeve, Samuel, Jin, others she had helped along the way. They had all seen the cost of silence, and now they stood as proof of what happened. News of Lyra's trial had reached every system. She became a symbol, not of revenge, but of resistance. Across space, planets whispered her name, and somewhere deep in the dark corners of the galaxy, enemies remembered it and trembled. 1 week after the trial, the High Command issued an order: erase Operation Silence records, clear all tags linked to L. Hayes. They tried to delete her from history, wipe every report, scrub every mention, but it was too late. Miners on Titan carved her name on the wall of a black tunnel where 10 soldiers had vanished. Refugee ship escaping a pirate raid named itself the Lyra Hope. Children across colonies played games where Lyra was the unbreakable hero. In one forgotten village, an old soldier wrote her name in firestone on a shattered wall. She walked alone so we could stand together. But Lyra never asked for this. She didn't wear medals, she didn't make speeches, she just moved from one damaged place to the next, quietly fixing what was broken. Then came the message, encrypted, from someone she didn't know. A signal buried, deep inside a lost station on the edge of known space. They're still hiding the real project. Reese was only the mask. Find Dawnfire. Attached was a location, no name, no sender. Just coordinates. Her crew gathered in silence. Samuel stared at the map. That's dead space. No signal. No colonies. Reeve narrowed his eyes. That's why. It's perfect. Lyra looked at them all. This isn't about me anymore, she said. You don't have to follow me. But they didn't leave. Not one. They were with her. Not for the mission. For what she stood for. They flew into the dark. No path, no help, just trust. As they neared the coordinates, they found a massive structure buried in a cold moon surface. It wasn't just a lab, it was a vault, locked, guarded, but not empty. Inside, rows of frozen bodies, test subjects, failed clones, abandoned. Weapons of war, one file blinked on the screen. Dawnfire Initiative, Phase 2. Humanity replaced. Lyra stared at it. This wasn't about war, she whispered. They wanted to erase people like us, anyone who wouldn't obey. They had been building a new force, one without soul, one without memory. Perfect soldiers with no voice. Her voice shook with fury. This is what Reese was protecting. With Reeve's help, she copied every file, every name, every detail, every secret. Then she planted the virus and watched the whole system burn. Outside the vault, snow began to fall. Cold winds howled, but Lyra stood firm, her breath steady. A single message was sent to every government, rebel force, and colony. They tried to erase the ones who remember. They failed. Truth is fire. It spreads. That was the last time anyone saw Lyra Hayes in public. Her ship vanished beyond the charted zones. Some say she died. Others say she became something more. But her name? It didn't disappear. A giant statue was built in the city of Kalen Prime. No crown, no weapon, just a simple figure standing tall, hand on heart. The plaque read, "She was left behind." She rose, she remembered, and she reminded us who we are. And beside it, carved in stone for all time, Lyra Hayes, the unbroken witness. Some say she still watches from the stars. Some say when injustice rises, a signal is sent, not to armies, not to leaders, but to her. Because Lyra wasn't just a soldier, she became a spark, a symbol, a fire they could never bury again.